Ascent Boston just finished over this last weekend, and there's a lot to review, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to the Meta Shift. Ascent Boston had 269 players. This was great as it really gave us a first look into what players have been cooking up early on in the season. Let's start with a deck that was thought to be lost with Water Fractal Daochan.
Certainly going to be extremely lethal. So that's exactly why I believe Doomblade's going for this Assassin's Ripper now, saying, look, I just have to take a shot here.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay this cost. Now, Perfy in response goes for that Pop the Scepter, gets the Glimmer counters, activate the Daochan Shimmering Refraction from memory, and then responds with another Shimmering Refraction from hand. That is the damage. Doomblade's got nothing, and that is going to be game one, going to Perfy on the return of Water Fractal Daochan.
Even though Lost in Thought got banned, I think Water Fractal's Daochan is still a really strong deck overall, and I don't think it was a bad pick into this meta either. Even though it didn't make top cut, it did still place 24th and 41st, and I think it's still going to be pretty relevant in our meta so far. There's also another deck that I have been looking at before Ascent Boston, and that's with CL, using Advent of the Stormcaller. I kind of want to go over this a little bit because I do think it's going to be around for a while, so let's take a look at the stream highlight first.
Baleful Ablation comes in. We're going to see deal X damage to all units except for your champion, where X is the lowest reserve cost among your omens. It's coming in for 15, right? This is a 3-cost 15 fast speed. See a Veiling Breeze, and in response, another Baleful Ablation.
Yeah, kill us, but we did have 3 Baleful Ablations in hand for Death at War, so definitely a solid hand for them. Good job to both players.
This combo is definitely pushing CL into the meta, and I think it's going to be pretty relevant moving forward, so let's quickly break it down. Baleful Ablation is an action guardian spell. For CL, it costs 2 less. It deals X damage to all units except your champion, where X is the lowest reserve cost among your omens. So we set Advent of the Stormcaller, which is a 15 reserve cost, into our omens, and because Advent of the Stormcaller is a 15 reserve cost, Oblation hits for 15. And if you chain 3 of them, that's going to be a 45 attack turn. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, I think, and it's a pretty strong combo overall. There's definitely more tech in the deck list that makes a combo more consistent, and if you want a breakdown on that, let me know in the comments. But I want to take a look at the crazy deck that Chess Club came up with. Vanitas, Horse, and Taxes.
And that's actually just missed.
Oh, and he just called it
right there. Knowing that they're in the tax lock here, Modest Mewtwo with the Horse and Taxes deck takes it 2-0. What an incredible deck. This is certainly going to be, I think, this has got to be like the breakout deck of the event, right? This is crazy so far. Going into the end phase, that is game in favor of Pickle Sword. Fire Vanitas, the creator of the deck, showcasing its power against Sano, an accomplished Fire Jin player, is going to secure the game for Ver in this mirror match of this incredible new breakout deck. Plays like nothing else we've ever seen before, but these players very experienced at it, and Ver manages to take it 2-0, moving on to semifinals.
Pickle Sword and Chess Club came up with this crazy Vanitas deck, and we're going to break it down a little bit so we kind of understand why it was so strong. Here's the plan at its simplest. Essentially, we get Vanitas to level 3, and on level 3, on champion hit, your opponent's materialization costs 1 more until the start of your next turn. Possible running things like Beseech the Winds, Dungeon Guides, then they tax their opponent by hitting them with Vanitas, and then they lock their options. And because we're running a dual element, we get to run horses like Dilu and Red Hair. This deck really punished the Ryle decks and was the reason why it was such a good call for the meta. And on day 1, they completely crushed it. I mean, they had 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and also 8th place. This deck kind of fumbles a bit if it doesn't reach the level 3 really fast and starts attacking right away. And we did see that a little bit throughout the matches, but because it was such a surprise, I think a lot of people were just caught off guard. And if you wanted to make day 2, you were kind of just hoping not to even hit it at that point. As a spectator, I was also kind of just cheering for Vanitas a little bit. There was 2 camps for this. There was the people who wanted the Ryle package to still win, and then there was the people who didn't want the Ryle package to still win. Either way though, it definitely made the event way more exciting. By the way guys, thank you so much for watching the videos. I really appreciate that you guys are keeping an eye out on me. If you guys like the content, definitely like it, and hit us up to follow for more. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff in the future as well. And before we get to the champion match and results, let's talk about the meta breakdown for elements and champions. These graphics were created by Mitch from Merlin's Market. We see here that the meta heavily leaned into fire, which was pretty much expected, but wind and water weren't completely shut out. This is pretty interesting since water was really dominant last season, and fire is now taking that spot. I'm sure that Ryle has a hand in this for making it really popular, but let's look at the champion breakdown real quick. As we look at the champion breakdown, we can see that Lorraine was the most played, but that doesn't mean that it was the same deck. We definitely had on-soul lists, aggro specter, water unique allies, and even suited variants as well, even though it looked like it was just one champion taking over, Jhin. It wasn't really a surprise, as the results from the past tournaments already showed that Jhin was pretty strong. If you missed that breakdown, you can check out the last Metashift video. In Boston, Jhin placed in 11th, 26th, 27th, and 29th. It wasn't the top cut, but enough to prove that Jhin was a really good meta call either way. And I think Jhin so far is still pretty much a meta pick. Alright, with that out of the way, let's finally talk about the championship match. For the finals, we had Bobby Tortilla representing Fire On-Soul Spectre Crux Lorraine. It seemed that Bobby kind of had figured out how to beat Vanitas as he was slowly climbing the ladder, and so much so obviously that he made it to the finals. And I think what made the championship match so fun to watch was the fact that Picklesword, who is essentially the creator of the Vanitas deck, against the person who was starting to beat the Vanitas deck. So overall, it was a really exciting match. Let me show you how the matches ended.
The swing from Lorraine here, and that means that Picklesword just goes for the damage, 3 damage attack, and then Picklesword takes game 1 in our 3-game grand finals set.
It's really nice he was able to draw a card off that on kill, and removing the 3/5 body from the board is a lot of pressure. Ooh, we're gonna see the ghosts of Pendragon.
We just
here.
see the scoop for Pickle, so recognizing this is a board I can't deal with.
To play something like a reduced to ash targeting the Terrafring, which again we talked about is why he has 4, right? He has more options to deal with different Regalia, not just Censor, but being able to deal, and there it is, there's the reduced
Exactly
to ash
right,
in
Tyler.
response to materialization to take out the Terrafring. Picklesword is not going to be able to use this to protect himself, so if Bobby Tortilla has a Rending Flames, he can find lethal this turn.
This is crazy. If he finds lethal this turn off a Rending off the top here, we have a Crux. Oh my goodness! He draws the Rending Flames for turn here. Now this Rending Flames, when we represent, we got 3 from the Rending Flames, 4 from the Swords and Banishment, and 1 from the Sword just from Champion here. So we're looking at 8 damage, double it up, that's 16 damage. That is enough for lethal. Does Picklesword have any way to prevent this damage from coming through? We're going to see here quickly. We're going to banish those 3 fire cards. I mean, something as simple as a Searing Rebuke would be crucial here.
And that's it, he
Bobby
calls
Tortilla!
it. Bobby Tortilla taking the grand finals against Picklesword. Lorraine beating the Vanitas deck, the boogeyman deck of the entire, what seems like tournament here. What a fantastic victory for Bobby Tortilla.
And there you go, Bobby Tortilla closed it out for the win, the new Ascent Boston champion for the very first Ascent of the season. It was really cool watching it almost like as an anime protagonist moment. Even though Vanitas didn't take the win, you can't help but commend Picklesword and Chess Club for the insane performance that they did. Let's look at the final top 8. You can see that Vanitas clearly took a lot of the spots, but Bobby winning was just a really cool moment. And that's pretty much the end of Ascent Boston, but there were a few key announcements still that were pretty important to listen on. Ryle the Abyss was officially put into the category 2 in the banned and restricted list. This doesn't come as a surprise, but the creator did have this to say.
We are going to keep an eye on Ryle the Abyss. Right now, there's a lot of people still cooking new decks. Let's not be preemptive about anything.
Along with a temporary addition to Proxia's Vault. This is a card, Purifying Thurible, that is added from Phantom Monarchs, the unreleased set that's coming out in December. And they also announced a new Merlin Recollection deck and some Ascent prices. Alright guys, if you made it this far, seriously, I appreciate you guys. I'll be vlogging my very first store championships this weekend, and while I'm not sure if I'll perform all that well, I hope you guys stay tuned. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next round. Peace.